Welcome to Modern Aikidoist Podcast. My sincere thanks to listeners and those who have liked, subscribed, and commented. Your interest is noticed and deeply appreciated. Before I get started, I want to let you know that I'm going to be releasing episodes more frequently now. So far, I've been trying to release a new episode every 3 or 4 days. I've noticed that I have topics now for about 16 episodes, and the ideas are coming in fast enough that I need to get them recorded and released. There's so much to cover. Drop back more frequently or be ready for more notifications of new episodes. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you are notified when new episodes are released. Today's podcast is on a question I get from many new students and those that are curious about martial arts training. That is, how often do I need to train to learn Aikido or get good at it? It's a fair question, and the answer is not exactly simple. First off, what is your expectation? How good do you want to get at Aikido or any martial art? What are you looking to get from your training? Most people ask the question of how much they need to train because they are looking to see what they need to do to fit their training classes into their life schedule. This is totally natural and understandable. There's no such thing as making time for something. Most people's time is already filled with duties, obligations, and pastimes. They're looking at how much they will need to give up to take on a new activity. It's a very valid question. The shortest answer I can give you is that you can get a benefit from one class a week, but you won't advance very quickly. 1 hour or so per week of anything will not get you much for results. That's a plain fact. 2 classes per week is much better, and 3 is doing really well. This can be difficult to swing when you're dealing with the responsibilities of family or a social life. It's up to each person to decide for themselves how best to arrange their schedule and balance the activities in their lives. Just remember that you get out of something what you put into it. The same goes for raising your children, learning to play guitar, or learning Aikido. If you don't do it very much, you won't be very good at it, and you will be disappointed in the results. You are investing your time and energy. Since many people have learned to play a musical instrument, or at least tried to at some point, they can appreciate the practice time necessary to build real skill. It does not happen quickly. You're not going to be Eddie Van Halen on a guitar practicing for an hour or 2 a week. The same goes for Aikido. This is where your expectation comes in. How good do you want to be, and how quickly do you want to get there? Excellence takes a long time to build no matter what, but doing more training per week will get you there faster than doing only a little. I did a podcast called Making the Most of Your Training Time, which was episode number 25. Go check that one out for more on how to make your training time as productive as possible and ways to improve your skills outside of class too. The question of how good you want to be comes down to your ambition and passion, as well as your schedule. These must be in alignment because if they are not, you're going to be frustrated. If you have the desire to be extremely skilled but you can't get to class, you will probably be unhappy with your lack of progress. Either adjust your expectations so you realize you won't progress as quickly as you like, or adjust your schedule so you can attend more classes. Something else to look at is how frequently you can train due to what your body can handle. The 2 wildcard variables here are your body and how classes are taught. First, your body. Do you have a body that is fairly fit and healthy and without injuries? If not, your body may only be able to handle 1 or 2 classes per week until it gets strong enough to do more. Conditioning and exercise may be necessary and are definitely helpful to augment Aikido training. Injuries can and will hamper training a great deal and cause you not to get a lot out of class. They are a reality of life and must be worked around. There are ways to participate in the dojo and learn even if you cannot be on the mat. If you have the passion, you will find creative ways to learn despite the limitations. Second is how classes are taught. If people are getting banged up and injured too much, that is the instructor's responsibility. If your body is so banged up that you feel you need to skip classes for it to heal enough to attend again, that's a problem with how the class is taught. There are martial arts schools who are bad about this. The attitude tends to be that tough training builds tough students. There is a valid point there, but it's easy to overdo it. Body toughening is a marathon, not a sprint. It has never made sense to me to have my body so banged up, bruised, and in such pain that I need to heal for days after a session. What if I get attacked right after class or while I'm healing? I would be at a severe disadvantage, and it could mean the difference between surviving and not. Martial art training will include some pain, probably a lot of discomfort, and be rigorous, but it should not leave you in a physical mess when you're done. You should be tired, even exhausted, but not injured. It should also include taking enough shots and locks so that you know how to apply power and what it feels like to get hit. A good martial artist is no stranger to these things. There are ways to learn them without being a kamikaze and being in constant pain. On the other hand, martial arts training isn't a knitting class either. You are learning about violence and pain. Just as one wouldn't expect to learn how to swim without getting wet, you are going to experience discomfort and pain on a regular basis. Don't be surprised when you encounter some injuries, too. They happen with any physical activity, but you shouldn't be trying for them, and neither should your training partners. The two injuries that seem the most common are knee injuries and dislocated ribs. I don't count bruises as injuries, as they are nothing more than just discomfort. Even a small bit of training gets you over the fear of bruises pretty quickly. Knees are another matter entirely. Knee strains and pain are injuries and should be taken seriously. The sneaky one is a dislocated rib. I've had them many times due to falls, having someone land on me, or even reasons I cannot really determine. The symptoms are pain in your chest, usually in the front or the back of your torso just off center line. It could be even both front and back. The pain can come when you take a breath, and it can be quite pronounced. I had a friend call me and tell me he went to the emergency room because he was getting shortness of breath and extreme pains in the left side of his chest. He thought he was having a heart attack. 2 days later, and after a battery of tests which turned up negative, his doctors were at a loss to explain the sharp pains he was having in the left side of his chest. He never got a solid answer from the doctors about what it was. In our conversation, I asked him what he had been doing that day or the day before, whether he had fallen or done any rigorous activity. He wasn't a martial artist. He told me that he had hoisted a large roll of carpet onto his shoulder and hauled it for his daughter. This is the kind of exertion that can cause a dislocated rib, and I suspect that's what he had, not a heart attack. I've felt the very same thing a number of times. I recommend against rolling and training with a dislocated rib. Like many injuries, don't tough it out. Get it squared away first. You want to strengthen your body as you build your skills. You cannot do that if you are skipping classes due to injuries. The more classes you attend, the more you will learn and your abilities will improve. If you want to get really good, be ready to spend more time at it. This is simple, but I've lost count of how many times I've been asked this question. I will say that telling students and prospective students that it will take them decades to learn the art is both untrue and discouraging. You can learn to play some songs on the guitar in a fairly short amount of time. It will take decades to play like Eddie Van Halen, and it might never happen. Be careful answering that question accurately based on the student's expectation. He doesn't want to hear that it will take decades to learn some fundamental competence. That's the part that just isn't true. What you practice, you get good at. What you don't practice, you don't get good at. Never move the goal out so far that it seems impossible to reach. I've heard many martial arts students say things like, "I'll never be very good at this," and "This art is so complex that I'll never learn it." The body cannot go where the mind cannot comprehend. If you limit yourself with your thoughts, your body will follow suit. If you want to learn Aikido or anything, get involved with it and keep to your schedule. The more time you invest, the more you get out of it. It's no mystery. It really comes down to that simple formula. What do you think? Please share your ideas in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or go to the Facebook group Aikido the Martial Side and post a comment. You can also support this podcast by donating either through a monthly sponsorship or a single donation of any amount you like. I always enjoy hearing from the listeners of the show, whether through the comments or questions. Thank you all for sharing your interest. Enjoy your training.